Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be our monthly ASIC pricing update video. This is going to be for January 2025. And in this series, what we are doing are we're looking for pricing trends. We're looking for those fluctuations, any increases, decreases, specifically to look for those deals, right? We're here, we're looking for those deals, trying to stay ahead of the game, okay? This one today is going to be a little bit different just because currently, because of Chinese New Year, everything is closed. There's going to be no shipping until the 5th. A lot of the prices won't be updating. So we're going to give our thoughts on a lot of the popular ones, which is what everybody's kind of looking at, and kind of just where they kind of stand, what is the likelihood that they may be going down in the future, and kind of give our thoughts as a whole, okay? If that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So we'll start by taking a quick look at the market, which literally just started dumping a few hours ago after the announcement of Trump with tariffs, right? He just announced tariffs for Mexico and Canada, so the market isn't reacting very nicely, which again, we were just trending upwards literally a few minutes ago. ETH was finally pumping. Again, everybody's asking for when alt season. Until ETH pumps, we're not going to see that alt season. So that was kind of disappointing. So we'll see if things kind of correct themselves. But overall, things are lovely. BTC's at 100, over 100K right now. Things are doing good. Alts are still kind of bleeding. Not all alts, but a lot of alts still aren't doing too hot. Okay, so just kind of keep them in mind as we go through. For example, one of the ones we're going to talk about the most is Doge. It's not struggling. Our viewpoint was if it stays above 30 cents, it is doing extremely well. And so far it's been holding, right? Through all these dumps, which price action has been crazy. Literally 10K up and down with Bitcoin, which affects everything else, right? So overall still looking good there, but alts again just still are bleeding. Overall sentiment is kind of iffy though. Typically, again, February and March tend to be good months for Bitcoin. Will that translate into being good months for alts though? That's kind of the question here because again, a lot of the concentration and focus has been on Bitcoin. All the positive news has been with Bitcoin. All the talks of nation state adoption has been with Bitcoin, right? Which is kind of a different reason, especially with all these states announcing strategic Bitcoin reserves, the possibility of the US as a whole also doing so, as well as all these other nations. This cycle may play out a little bit differently, especially with alts, right? BTC is definitely going to be in a place, but again, typically for altcoin season, what do we typically see? A sell-off of Bitcoin into alts. With all these things that are going on, might play a little bit different for alts, right? BTC is still going to keep the same trajectory. We'll keep our eye on these alts, okay? So although it does seem doom and gloom, in reality, this is giving us more time to accrue. I know everybody's tired of buying the dips when the dip keeps on dipping, but at the same time, these are just more opportunities to stack because anywhere from like 6 to 9 months from now, we're going to be saying, man, I wish I would have done this and that, right? So just kind of keep that mindset. Think of the future. Think of what can potentially happen here, okay? Now let's look at overall profitability for the ASICs, and it's kind of the same leaders, right? It's the Scrypt ASICs up here. They're kind of dominating the charts, and a lot of the Hydro Bitcoin units, which again don't really affect us because again those are going to be more institutional players. But we can see the L9, for example, the top of the line model is down to 31 bucks a day. This is on a 10-cent electric. Obviously, depending on your electric rate, it is going to fluctuate. But it has gone down quite a bit, and it's not necessarily just because of the price action. Yes, Doge has gone down from those previous highs, but the hash rate has gone up pretty insanely, right? And that's kind of leading to it also, right? It's kind of currently a double whammy because even if Doge does go back up to the 40-45 cent range, it's not going to be the same as it was a few months ago, right? Just because of the amount of miners that have came on. We'll look at the hash rate here in a second and kind of like ballpark how many miners have come online, which is pretty mind-boggling, right? We'll talk about that here in a second. Let's get to some of these ASICs though. Before I forget, do want to mention this also for any of you guys who are trying to pre-order these things that are so far out, April, May, June, July in some cases, totally up to you. You got to do you. If you're in the US though, you really have to consider, on top of the normal volatility between, we don't know what the hell's going to happen between now and then, tariffs. Very big possibility, especially right now with China pissing off Trump with all this AI race that we're having right now. Do not be surprised to see tariffs, increased tariffs, I should be saying, right? So, again, even just like right now, for example, with Trump making this brash announcement kind of out of nowhere, taking effect tomorrow. Initially, it was going to be March 1st, but now they clarified and it looks like it's going to take effect tomorrow. Anything can happen at the snap of a finger, okay? Especially if it's an extreme increase. Be aware of these things. Again, it's hard enough doing it under normal circumstances, but with everything going on, it can wreck you pretty quickly, right? So just take that into consideration. Especially, I've been getting a lot of questions with these like Volcminers, like people trying to order this June, July batch. Bros, that's a long time. Okay, just factor that in. Again, you do you. But I mean, we're figuring the peak of this thing is gonna be September, October, November. You're not giving yourself much time, especially if there's delays on top of that, right? So just make sure you factor that in. Like, yes, the price is low, but like we've mentioned over and over and over, think of the amount of revenue you're missing out on by mining during that time. So does it make sense to save like 3,000-4,000 when you would have mined 7,000-8,000 during that time? Not really, right? So just make sure you factor those things in. As far as the Volcminer goes, as far as the Scrypt ASICs as a whole, they have been trending downwards. Ultimately, did bump up a little bit. Okay, so Volcminer currently is down to 11. This July batch, which is everybody's eyeing, is down to 8,500. Again, to wait 6-7 months to save not even 3 grand, you're gonna lose all that revenue, right? You literally make probably well over 7, 8, probably over 10,000 if you factor in price appreciation by then. So again, you do you, but that's just the way I see it. Let's go on to the next one. The D1 Lite, same thing, July batch. Although I have seen a few vendors list a February batch. So there is a possibility this thing may come sooner. The appeal here, we'd have to see the prices, that it's extremely similar to the AlphaPex unit, right? So if it comes in this price range though, 6,000-7,000, maybe worth taking the jump there. AlphaPex is arguably a little bit more proven, although a lot of you guys have mentioned you have had some issues and warranty wasn't too fun. But kind of keep that in mind, right? So if it's, again, for me, for example, it has to be a significant price difference for me to not go with the King of the Hill here, which would be the L9. Just make sure you factor that in. The Flueminer is starting to get listed now on more stores. I believe nearly every vendor has these listed now, but not until an April batch, right? Which it's currently been delay. Initially November, then December, then January. We're a day away from now from February, and still no signs. There was a couple of promo units. We did see those videos about a month ago. So they do exist. They're out in the wild. They're still in production, though. Are they having any issues? We don't know. There's no real communication, which would be nice, right? That way we can kind of see, like, okay, no, we're just trying to put X amount of units out before we officially sell, or are they having production issues? We have no idea because they're keeping us in the dark, right? Which, if you're a new company, that is the worst way to do things, right? Just be transparent about it, right? So gave AlphaPex a lot of flack for that also recently with that delay with those DG Home 1s, and then they try to act like nothing happened, which was kind of a little bit of annoying, I gotta say. Like, looking through their tweets and such, there was no real announcement regarding it. Some of the vendors did release emails and such, but no like official big press release announcement from them. And maybe they should have done an interview with one of the other YouTubers just to kind of explain the situation. Again, I'm a big fan of transparency, right? If you want to differentiate yourselves, you want to show quality, you want to show that you're better than others, then be better than the others by doing so, right? So just throwing that out there. So again, price-wise is good. Specs are good. I love the form factor here, but again, unknown quality. Price is pretty good. I don't know if I want to wait till April, though, right? That's kind of the downfall here. We'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of quality they end up bringing. Let's go on to the next one, the L9. The L9. This one has fluctuated quite a bit, right? Ultimately did pump back up until the 13K range. Some vendors did have it as low as like 11K for spot, right? So there is availability. There can be price fluctuations because, again, it is kind of a tough sell, 13K. Like, yes, profitability looks good. And as crazy as it sounds, it still does kind of make sense. but it's just a lot harder to toss that into the market right now, right? And my hesitancy would be currently as is, there's so many extremely cheap alts, right? Like maybe 3 months from now when everything doubles, triples, I can see a much better case here, right? But currently right now, there's so many altcoins, there's so many coins in general that are like some of them yearly lows right now. I'd feel much better about dumping that amount of capital into the market onto something that even is a safer play that'll do a conservative 3 to 4x versus trying to just ROI this unit, right? So again, in a few months, like for example, Alephium being down to like, it went down into the 70s, went down to 78, 79 cents. Those are the kind of plays that I would almost, again, not financial advice, but at bare minimum, it struggles, does horrible, a $4 ALF, right? Meaning a 5x from here, right? So it's just timing of the market. Again, things will change drastically in 3-4 months, maybe longer, who knows, but that's just the way I kind of view it for spending that amount of capital, right? So each their own on that front. It's way over here actually. Let's bring it over here. Let's talk about this Volcminer Mini. This is one that's getting a lot of attention. There is a February batch. So although yes, it's going to be cheaper to wait till April for $400, 1549, not even. I would probably go with the sooner batch. Mainly because if you wait for the April batch, what if there are delays? What if something else happens? A lot of risk for not a lot of money savings, right? So again, you're going to be able to get it sooner, potentially more yield. One thing to factor in here is they did release a little video clip actually of the unit. The one thing I did kind of notice and kind of a little bit of disappointment, I'm not seeing a Wi-Fi antenna. Right, so if we look through, you kind of see through. I don't see any threadings. See the Ethernet port for sure, the reset button, the indicator lights. No Wi-Fi antenna, right? On the other side, it looks like it's just the grills for the fans. So just keep that in mind. Again, you can buy those little Wi-Fi adapters. They're like under 20 bucks on Amazon, if that means something to you, but just something to consider there. Let's keep going down the list. So let's do a quick little comparison just as we are talking about why the Scrypt profitability has gone down. It's not just the price action. Yes, Doge has gone down from the 50-cent range down into the 30s, but you can look at the chart here. So ever since the release was around September. Again, Scrypt goes up and down a lot. You kind of have to go in the median. So if it's like 1.2 and then 709, you got to go in the middle, right? So give or take somewhere August, September, we're averaging about a petahash, right? Currently, right now, obviously some of the swings are like at 3. I know some of you guys had mentioned that you saw it at 3, like, oh man, it's gone up crazy. It does spike up to that, but realistically, you got to go like in the median, right? So right now, realistically, we are closer to like the 2.1 and 2.2 range is right if you go in the middle, right? But you can definitely see the aggressive upward action. So even just by going by that metric, since release, it's doubled, right? Which is a shit ton of units, okay? Again, just easy math, just looking at it, each unit is 16 gigahash, okay? It's pretty mind-blowing to think. So if we do a quick estimate just to get around a petahash, right, it's about 65,000 units. So again, multiplying 65,000, the amount of units that have potentially come online, multiplying it by the 16 gigahash gives us 1,040,000 gigahash. Okay, so once we plug it in here, that's how many units it takes to get up to a petahash. Okay, so some of you guys have been doing the math wrong. You kind of skipped and you're going from, you were putting it at 16 terahash instead of gigahash. Remember, this thing is 16 gigahash, right? So it's about the equivalent of 65,000. That doesn't mean it's all L9s, because again, there have been the AlphaPex units as well as these Volcminers and whatever other manufacturers have came out since then. But it's the equivalent of 65,000 L9s, just to give you an idea of how much hash rate has hit the network and yet how profitable it still is. So yes, it is kind of amazing how many units, but to me what's even more amazing is the fact that it actually was able to absorb all that. Profitability is still pretty good, right? Which is just insane, right? And it kind of gives you an idea of the scale, how many units Bitmain can release. It's crazy, right? And then factor in how much each unit is or was, right? The cheapest price people were to get was that 6K price range for that January batch. It's crazy, right? So just kind of opens your eyes a little bit as to the scale of some of these ASICs, right? Let's continue down the line, though. This is one that never dropped, and they're just going to leave it as is, I guess. AL1 is still at 10K, obviously going to be a no-go. With the AL3 being down to 3,500, this is one that is definitely due for a price decrease potentially. Will it happen? Won't it happen? We don't know. We're going to have to wait until after the 5th. Give it a few days for them to absorb the market, wherever we're at that point, and see what kind of happens from there. Let's skip that one a little bit. And then just quick eyeballing math. So again, the whammy here was the hash rate increasing aggressively and then the price dumping. The price dumping is what we kind of didn't see coming. At least that much, right? I did not expect to see like a 70-cent ALF anymore, right? It was hard to imagine even really under $1, but it did hit those price levels recently. And this is where things have changed pretty drastically, right? So if you did get one, it's not the end of the world. You're just going to be wanting to mine and hodl. If it's not profitable for you, you may want to unplug. But even at 10-cent kilowatt hour, which again, if you're considering ASICs, 10 should really be your cutoff. 12 would be the absolute max. Anything beyond 10, you want to consider hosting, right? So again, at a 10-cent kilowatt hour, you are breaking even. You are making a little bit of profit, but again, that would be the goal here, right? Because then at that point, you're able to take advantage of the potential price appreciation, which is what would help you out. But if you're a person who was on the fence and you're like, oh man, you know what? Let me wait for this dip, February 5th. If alpha is still at 85 cents, maybe it goes down to 2,500. Realistically, you're going to be better off buying the coin, right? Let's do just an easy eyeballing comparison. Currently, right now, ALF is down to 83 cents, right? Market is currently dumping, so I'm going to go down a little bit more, but it's at 83 cents. Currently, that thing is 3,500 bucks, right? $3,500. You can buy about 4,171 ALF. If we look at the calculator, you're currently earning about 10 ALF a day, right? So if we take that 4170, we divide it by the amount of ALF you're earning currently. And again, factoring in, this is how much you're going to earn if there's no more increases in the hash rate. So you would have to be at this rate for this amount of time for you to break even on this unit, right? So currently it would take you over 400 days, which is well beyond the bull market here. Okay, so because of how much the price dipped, this is where if you're a person who did not buy, you're kind of holding out, you do not want to buy the unit currently, right? This is going to change, though, in a few months if ALF does price appreciate. Whenever it does, when it goes to $2, $3, $4, this is going to look massively different. But if you are in the market currently, right now, at this moment, it 100% does not make sense to purchase. It makes more sense to buy the coin. Absolutely. Okay, so just kind of factor that in. And again, it's hard to predict these things. It's risk to reward. This would look completely different if the market was in a different direction. If we were at $3 off, it would look completely different, right? But currently, again, for any guys who didn't purchase, this is a good opportunity here if you're a person who believes in ALF to potentially purchase the thing, right? But again, if you did purchase, you just want to mine and hodl. Hopefully we get the price appreciation that we're expecting to get anyway. It's just right now this presented a excellent opportunity for you to stack if you so choose to, right? So something to consider there, not just specific with ALF, but any ASIC. This is how you want to look at it. You want to look at these positions like, okay, how much of that coin could I buy versus buying the miner, etc., etc. And there's going to be times where this may happen, right? Did not expect it. Not gonna lie, did not expect to see a 70-cent ALF, but here we are, right? So this is the time, again, like we've mentioned over and over, take advantage of those opportunities, right? So to each their own on that front. Let's continue down the list, though. Next on the list is the Bitmain E11, which is still hovering in that $6,000 range. This one likely needs to drop. Again, There are much more efficient units. This guy is definitely not as efficient as the others. Cost per hash is better, but because of the competition, it's not making a whole lot of sense because of how far behind it is. And this is one that can potentially go down just because Bitmain did do their fake sellout bullshit that they like to do, which initially on launch day did check it not too long after, and it did show as sold out, yet a few days later it's available spot again, which means what? The sellout was a bunch of bullshit, which is what they consistently do. And it's not just them, it's every vendor does this. We just saw this with like the 5090s, 5080s. Even if there is going to be stock available, this is what gets people hyped, and in this case, it didn't even work with this one, right? So initially, they already kind of gave us the heads up that it was going to be a more limited unit, and even at that capacity, still widely available, which to me hints potentially, if any of these ETH coins don't pump, may see a price depreciation here, right? So we'll see, especially for you guys with cheaper power, right? This would be the main appeal. If you have a higher electric rate, not so much. But if you have cheap power and it goes down significantly, something to keep our eyes on. Next on the list, these little Aleo miners, which again, high risk, potentially high reward. Maybe, again, the iceriver unit is much more efficient. Something that's interesting here, we did a little bit of digging with Gold Shell specifically. For any guys have followed, we do know who their parent company is, who does make their ASICs. It's InChains Group. Kind of did a little bit of digging, and if we would have dug in a little bit sooner, we actually would have seen this release coming. InChains did have a tweet about this partnership they had with Computation Frontier, which is who they are partnered with, and they were talking about zero knowledge proof ASICs already as of a few months ago, right? So that kind of would have given us the heads up there. But as we go down, what's interesting here is them talking about specifically, let's go down, as a technology partner of InChains Group, which again, InChains is Goldshell's parent company, right? So this is the main company. CF Labs is committed to advancing ZKP hardware acceleration. The developed ZK-related IP will benefit future ZK VM plus ASIC solutions across the entire ZK ecosystem, including Ethereum Beam Chain's real-time ZK proving, right? Which kind of hints of the possibility of them doing things beyond just Aleo, right? So again, there's other systems that can take advantage of this. There are other ZKP projects that can potentially be mineable in the future. So that would be something that kind of give you more use case with this specific ASIC, right? So something kind of interesting there as we dig a little bit deeper. If you go on their website here, you can say about CF Labs, it's a joint venture of InChains Group, which again is Goldshell's parent company, and Aoraki Labs. And as we look into this company here, as we go down, what do we see here? They have literally nothing on their site except for ZKML, which is generate ZKML tasks and run them on ZK Pool. So definitely an affiliation with ZK Pool. ZK Pool makes zero knowledge proofs flow in the digital world. If you're unfamiliar with ZK Pool specifically, so ZK Pool is a product of Aoraki Labs, and as we go down, they are one of the pools for zero knowledge proof projects, right? So you can see here they were a part of the Aleo testnet early. This is the old logo, if you guys remember. And Tycho, which is another one that will eventually, it is on mainnet, but currently there isn't a whole lot of stuff going on there. Same thing with Scroll. It does have other project partners here with Loopring, Orbiter Finance, and you can see down here their hardware partners, Superscaler, which we've mentioned before, them being big into ZK proofs. Although I'm pretty sure they went out of business. I haven't heard anything from them. Their Discord is dead. Nothing pretty much going on. But as we look at the other partners, InChains, right, which is Goldshell. So there's a possibility if some of these other things take off that you'd be able to use it for other projects, right? So would that make me want to buy it still? Hell no. But for any of you unfortunate souls or fortunate souls, right, if you want to risk it for the biscuit, maybe there could be potential use case for it with other projects in the future, right? Will it be this cycle? They're lagging quite a bit, so it may not even be this cycle, maybe beyond it, right? So just something to consider, something to put out there. Some interest there. But not a ton of fluctuations, mainly because, again, we're not getting any price updates. They've been on vacay for about a week now, and it's going to be another week. and then expect things to not really update for another week after that, right? They pretty much the whole country shut down for 2 weeks. It's going to take a while for them to receive all those orders, get logistics back on track, because again, everything's going to be backed up for that time frame, right? So you're going to want to give it a little bit, and then we will see where the prices are. So chances are next month I may do it middle of the month, right? We'll see, just to see if there's any movement. But again, a lot of it's just going to do is where the market is at a whole. Is February going to be a bullish month? Are we going to continue to bleed? Are we going to continue this up and down? Again, in my opinion, a lot of it's going to have to do with ETH, right? We're not going to see that dominance fall until ETH starts rising. And it's been struggling, right? So let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think? Are you guys buying anything? Are you guys completely done? Are you guys just waiting for deals? Or are you kind of just waiting for any next-gen ASICs? I think that's where a lot of people are still waiting for the next gen. For me, I'm just kind of sitting back. I don't think I'm really going to buy too much hardware. We'll see what happens. We'll give a portfolio and goals update video here in a little bit so you can kind of see where the mind frame's at. Okay, let me know in the comments though, guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I am out.